Hello again, welcome back. This is day 3, learning the Swift programming language, and we've talked about arrays, dictionaries, and sets. Now let's talk about loops. If you have a collection of things, you might want to look at each of the things in your collection, and a loop is the perfect tool for that. So Swift has a few loops. They're very similar to loops that you find in other languages. The while loop. So the while loop checks a condition. So you can put any expression here, and if it evaluates to true, then we continue on and we do the code inside the code block here. And then when we're done, we go back up and we check the condition again. Okay, so it's very easy with a while loop to run into a while loop that runs forever. It happens to everybody every once in a while, right? But that's something you need to take care of. So the code here maybe needs to make sure that at some point the condition will show up as false. So here's a repeat while loop. The difference here is we start with repeat and the condition comes at the end. So with the other while loop, we check the condition before doing the code block. Here, the condition is checked at the end of the code block. So that might be better for some situations than the other, but essentially these are very similar, the while and repeat while. So here's a practical code example. We might start with a variable called result, set it equal to 0. And then we might repeat while result is less than 5. So when we begin, we check result, and result is less than 5. So we add, some number to result. Looks like we're adding 1 plus 0, right? So that would be 1 on the first loop. 1 is still less than 5. The next time we'd take 1 plus 1 is 2, add it to 1, and we get 3, right? That's still less than 5, right? And then we'd do it again. Down here, we would check the result at the end, right? So it's the same thing, except once we've done this, then we'll check the value at the bottom. So here's a while loop that might run forever because the condition is set to true, right? But you can use the break statement inside the while loop to break the loop early. Okay, so break will end your loop despite what the condition up here says. So here, we'd add something to the result, and then we would check and ask if the result is greater than or equal to 10, and if it is, we stop the loop, and it just ends right here without checking again at the top. You can also count in ranges, and a range uses the ... or the ... and the less than symbol. Okay, so this one counts from 0 to 8 inclusive. So the ... includes the first and the last number here. This is the half open range. It goes up to but doesn't include. We can think of this as 0 to less than 8, right? So ... less than 8, right? So here's an example of a for loop. So this is another type of loop. We can say for in range, right? So the idea is we put a constant here, maybe a variable, and then we can put a range here to say how much or how far we count. So for example, here we can say let count equal 5, var result is 0, and then we can say let's count with I while I is 1 to count. So this would count from 1 to 5, including the 5. And then it would add I to result with each iteration. Sometimes you might want to count, but you don't actually need to keep track of the count. And if that's the case, you can just put the underscore here for the variable. Okay, so there's also a where clause. So this maybe doesn't get used that often, but it could be useful in some cases. So the where clause only does the block when the where clause is true. So here we're going to count from 1 to 10, but we're only going to do the code block when the numbers are odd. Okay. So we're going to loop through the items in an array. So this is probably where you're going to use a lot of loops. This is like a very common software problem. Here, imagine we have an array of strings, and we can say for variable in array, right? So we just say in array, and what will happen is the for loop will take the first value from the array, that's this array here, right? Take the first value and put it into this variable, and then print that variable, go up to the top, take the second value in the array, put it in the variable, and then print it, and then do it again with the third value and the fourth value. You can also use the same syntax to loop through a dictionary, but in the dictionary what you'll do is you'll put the parentheses here and you can name two variables. So you can say course and student. So the first one is like the key and the second one is the value, right? So the first time through the array, if we're looping for, course and student count in courses and students, the first key would be course, which would be mobile, and student count would be 30. And then we could print those out and then go back up to the top, and it would give us the second key, which would be backend web, and the course or the student count would be 40, and then it would move on. Okay, so here's some lab practice problems for you. You can click on the link here and solve these problems in a dictionary. These are the same as the last one, so you'll go through here and read the problems and attempt to solve them. So thanks for watching, and then we'll continue in the next video.